It freaks a lot of people out. I'm sure religious people come to you, all sorts of other spiritual people come to you. They say, death is not the end. It's part of the process. What do you say? Do you have arguments for all these different angles that hit you?
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, I think when you're talking about religious people, that's such a large conundrum that transhumanists have because first off, most of the world is still quite religious. In America, especially, 85% of the people are religious. It means that they are not worried about dying as much because they're just going to die and go meet their maker and, have a perfect life. I'm an atheist. I've openly been one for a long time now.
Always have been?
Not always. I had a Catholic upbringing and even went to Catholic school. I actually became an atheist after I read the Bible when I was 18 years old. I decided at one point to read the Bible cover to cover, and the moment I closed the very last page, I just was done because it just was too crazy, too much violence, too many insane things happening. I take it as wonderful literature, but I did not believe in God after that, and so
didn't believe in God or didn't believe in the book?
I didn't believe in God. I didn't, because I didn't really have any other belief. But to be honest with you, I do sort of believe that there might be something else out there, and this is a little bit crazy thinking, but I'd be very surprised if there wasn't another super intelligence and artificial intelligence that at some point in the 13.8 billion years that the universe has existed hasn't come and evolved and created other types of worlds or other types of frameworks. I've written about this recently where I'm a kind of a believer that with almost 2 billion planets out there that are habitable potentially, at least according to scientists, there's a very strong chance other civilizations have existed or are existing right now. And it would be not a large step to say that they have already developed further than us. And we're very close to developing a superintelligence. We're only 50 years away probably from developing an artificial intelligence that is maybe 10,000 times smarter than us, if we choose to go through with it.
Do you believe it's 50? I always felt like maybe we've always thought it was 50 years away, like even 100 years ago, 200 years ago. If you look back through history, like everyone thinks we're always there. I mean, it does feel like we're 50 now, but are we?
So, I'm an optimist and I could be wrong, but a lot more experts these days are saying that. That's, I think, the big difference is that artificial intelligence, the whole technology field was quite small 50 years ago. The amount of technologists on the planet was not that many. Now you have you have hundreds of millions of engineers, and I think a lot of them are suggesting that we're pretty close to it. It may not be 50, it might be 100, but either way, on a kind of a chronological scale of evolutionary development, we're at the very, very end. And that presents, I think other civilizations, if they exist, would also have been, at some point there and could have easily be way ahead of us. So when you talk about my atheism, it's not a pure atheism. I don't think any atheist can say they absolutely know for a fact God doesn't exist. I just like to do that because I like to say I'm an atheist because from a historical context, I feel that religion has damaged the species, has held back science. The reason we're not all living indefinitely now is because we broadly live in an anti-science culture, especially in America. That's why you had, for example, George W. Bush stop stem cell funding for 7-8 years. I consider that a tragedy. Or this is why you have, for example, the Pope saying a condom's usage in Africa is wrong or sinful.
Right.
And then you have literally millions of people dying.
That was the old Pope. The new Pope is for it, right?
No, he's not as against it, but he still hasn't come out 100% and said, This is okay. So there are problems with that. We really need someone to stand up and say, well, if it's in the best interest of longevity, if it's in the best interest of health, then it's in the best interest of the people.
Okay.
And that's something we have.
If we have a new world that we're going to in 50 years where there could be this kind of entity that is this artificial intelligence entity, are you kind of saying with your presidential run that our current political structure isn't ready for that, isn't ready to handle it, much like with George Bush, he wasn't able to embrace the technology that would save us? Is that kind of why you're running? To watch the rest of this fascinating interview, click on the link below and go to londonrealacademy.com. There you can sign in with your social media login and watch the rest of the episode for free, along with all of our episodes on London Real, my webinars, and all of our premium content, all located over at londonrealacademy.com. So click on the link below, you'll be directed there and you can watch the rest of this fascinating interview, and I'll see you there.